All right, so the week is rolling on. It's Wednesday. On a 15-minute break right now. Just been pondering of how to wrap this all up, at least this bit of expression here, and some thoughts coming to mind. The reason why I go into critical activism last is because I hope to be able to tie together so many different things. The reason why I mentioned about crowdfunding is because I'm trying to get to the problem of manifestation, the problem of actually getting things off the ground. In the past, years ago, for me, I had attempted a number. This was the kind of the beginnings of my writing journey, just trying to figure things out. And so I figured that the type of work that I was instantly kind of turned towards with the coming of the Spirit should indeed be motivated somehow by society. But of course, as there's no necessarily product to sell, especially back then, I hadn't been able to put things together in terms of like a service. Like I didn't have materials to bootstrap this, which now we do. So the picture is very different at this point. Just some thoughts coming to mind. I've been fairly active on and off in the sorcery of the spectacle community, and just noting that although some people may have checked out our work earlier, things are becoming more and more coherent as time goes on. And at this point, I think that those who haven't checked it out in a while and found it mildly interesting should definitely try and get a handle on what's going on here. We definitely have a lot more material to dig into. And so before, with the crowdfunding efforts, I was really trying to find a way to accelerate the work. So how to do that? It's really, I've been able to kind of ground my views a little bit more, become more practical in the way that I think of how to accelerate the work. And right now it's coming to this media expression piece, and it's kind of, this is built into the reasoning behind why I am trying to appeal to a number of different groups of people, types of people in which I am directly connected. Like, these are my networks that I'm speaking to, especially in the last I guess at this point, the last half of this expression. So I kind of began with the deck protocol and kind of more technicals of the model, I suppose, and just elaborating and giving examples of how protocols work and all that kind of stuff. And now using that as kind of a background, what we're looking at in the foreground here is a number of different directions that I can see within my network that the people that are around me are going in and trying to work on. And so I suggest that we are all pretty much interested in the same sorts of things. We're all kind of orbiting around this center. And of course, it's kind of interesting that I would, I guess, propose this as the center of critical activism, even though a lot of what I have described here so far is basically a core, an empty shell, kind of like without really content. Of this is kind of like how to go about moving forward and forward into all the different domains of human behavior together, and granting the ability through this model to rapidly bootstrap a coherent process of research and development in all the areas in which you are concerned with, and then a way to share those in a context of greater meaning. And so that's the way that I see this working. I've long ago, and I never really was ever expecting to get funded, so to speak, like to have people donate, because at the time I knew that really I didn't have enough of a good explanation, especially for the complexity of what I've been researching, to allow people to get even a basic understanding of what's going on and what they would be supporting. And more importantly, it's not really about just giving money, it's about transforming my own life and the lives around me in a way that allows us to work together in a much more coherent way, and in fact in a way that's a complete paradigm shift of difference between the participant society and the membership society. So we're trying to lift others up into membership, and of course years ago we felt this frustration that as members we knew what we were doing. We knew exactly what the next thing was to do, and we found that very few around us were really keyed in or clued in, and it comes down to this embodiment, this inspiriting, and that's really the guide. And there's no way to explain it. There's only facilitating of that movement towards coherence, the commitment to the journey of increasing coherence, how to encourage that and support it in yourself and those around you. So again, like the analogy of a plant or a tree, you cannot force it to grow, you cannot force it to have fruit, but you can set out to make sure that the constraints towards its doing so are not breached and broken. In other words, you can maintain the coherence of its environment, of our environment, and to allow that the spirit to move, so to speak. So as far as crowdfunding, I do. We are, Zhenya and I are, we feel like we are quite close to being able to putting together more of an organization, in which we would and will have services to provide, products and services related to the dashboard software, as well as related to networking and facilitating of connections between people, just concentrations of trust, as well as teaching, discipleship, all that kind of stuff. So with the increased coherence of our model, we have definitely been able to foresee some ways in which we can actually provide services to our network, to those around us who see what we're doing and want to participate, and so this really is intended to be grounded in our network, in those around us. If you know me or Zhenya or anybody kind of in the core of the SOTS or Portal Mountain networks, you can get caught up to speed. You can find out what we're doing. We have good materials. It's not unknown. It's not what do they call them? Schizo posting and all this kind of stuff. Like the materials become very coherent. The network is becoming coherent, and I thought it kind of interesting I watched just a video about which included parts about religion and what the point of religion is and how cultures come together to form, in this case it was control, meaning making, and community. And this kind of gets back to the social justice warrior warriors and the kind of left and all this kind of stuff, and even the right. Like, it's each have their own kind of groups, and the intention is to sort of figure out a way to practice and develop morals together, so that we can have a society that we want, just and healthy and happy people. And we, of course, at least intuitively realize that we need the cooperation of others to do so, and that our happiness and our ability to connect within our community is heavily dependent on the type of culture that we're sharing and promoting. So it's a natural thing for humans to do, to kind of put together these mythical structures, to tell stories to ourselves, to make meaning into the community, and then which this, of course, makes up our kind of character, who we are, and our ability to communicate with each other. So it's a very natural thing to be doing, and in this regard, I would propose that is what we are doing as well with Portal Mountain. We are trying to make it clear a way of sharing this meta narrative, the meta organization, the meta religion, this kind of transcending of categorical, of rigid ontologies, in which we alienate ourselves and each other under these strict categories, and this is really the basis of our kind of ethical and moral stance towards each other, is that we won't. So in that it's a meta religion or meta organization, we can use any kind of materials. We can kind of use categories to navigate the terrain. However, the core of the meta religion, the meta organization, is that you're always present and respectful of that which your APS is projecting onto, and always attempting to facilitate a relationship, a dynamic between what the mind thinks of the categories and thinks what's real, and what is actually right in front of you, coming through the senses of the body. So the person in front of you is not, is not even limited to the intersection of how many disabilities and sexualities and minorities that they compose. They are actually even more than that, even more, an infinite more than that. As a person, as a being, they cannot be limited to that intersection. And this is the core of our moral, our ethics, and really this is what. So this is what I'm proposing that our community kind of rally around and make intentional, is that core, that dynamic, to acknowledge and use the APS, but of course to know about it, to know its function, its shortfalls, and its tendency to calcify and crust up, and of course the problem of this happening with the never-ending change, the changing nature of reality, that it just shifts out from under us, and so we cannot rely on strict categories or unchanging, a spiritually dead dynamic. And so the meta-religion is the core of our moral our morals. This is the basis of them, and I challenge anybody in my community, in my network, to try to challenge that, to come up with some kind of alternative, which cannot be, which I mean, like something that can out meta the meta religion. Go ahead and try it. I encourage that, but I suspect it's gonna, usually come down to ontologies, which again we're not against. In fact, I would encourage coherent and isomorphic ontologies, but really we're talking about something here that has the power to transcend and overcome all religious dogmatism. In other words, to transcend and overcome all participatory, I use that in the model term, participant level apprehension of any system. The meta-religion transcends that, even though there, of course, I'm not arguing that there isn't a reason or a need for mythic structures and ontologies and all this kind of stuff, but this is the meta, this is the transcendent, this is what has the power to heal the world. The membership in the guild, whatever you want to call it, being reborn of the spirit. This I propose is a clear path forward for working together within our community. If we can actively acknowledge that this is true, this is the truth, that we really, it doesn't get any better than this. This is justified by our work on APS research and everything that's gone on in the network, and this is what we should rally together, rally behind as a community, and just let the fruits of this type of acknowledgement and this behavior manifest in our culture together, and just let it spill out even into your own networks. We're already at 17 minutes here, so break is technically over. So I'm talking about really kind of getting together, like, intentionally, and this is what I propose, some of the next steps for the community, the SOTS community, particularly the core, who has just been nonstop working on this, just absolutely driven by the spirit and by the love of the world and of each other, and of course the heartbreak of knowing the spectacle and how deep the alienation and the suffering and the pain of all the people around us in the world. And let's get together concretely and just acknowledge that, we really do have we have found something that speaks to us deeply, that we share together, and it's meaningful, and this is how we work together. And of course, so I'm just kind of describing the kind of first intentional grouping, like let's get together, let's be a team again, as we were years ago when we didn't have this material. Now we do have the material. Please, I ask you to verify it, to verify this, what I'm saying, and to acknowledge it to the wider community, to pull in skeptics, anybody who seems to be working hard, working away on maybe on their own in isolation. You don't have to work in isolation. And so really what I'm trying to get at here is, like, how does this move forward? How does it kind of spread? And I'm saying that it spreads by having this, by starting with a core, by starting its relationships, its people working together with a common cause, a common work, a common history, and we can we can really make something out of this. We can make an organization out of it. We can represent the meta organization. We can have something to kind of be proud of as a community, as the SOTS community, that we've been through all of this stuff together, and we have something to show for it, and we have this gathering energy, this gathering network, this purpose, this common purpose. Like it's right here. This is it right here. If we can prove this to be viable, and just utilize this via Illuminati networking to just pull in other organizations, to find everyone we know, to collect authors together, just roll this forward. Like, why not? And I know it hasn't been done, because if the meta religion had ever successfully spread, we would know about it. I would know about it. Like it, and that's not to say that it maybe a parallel organization is just launching right now somewhere else. Of course, it could happen, and I would encourage that we look for those, that we try to find those. I know along the way I've seen like 5 or 6 at least. I wouldn't call them failed, but I just haven't seen them go anywhere. And I know that I could just empathize with the authors and with the creators, because I knew that they were doing the exact same work that we are doing. This is true synchronicity. We have the ability to gather together, basically the members of the guild, masters of the guild, gather them together as we recognize them, start working together. We have a model in place. We have modeled the meta organization in a very detailed way. Like it's there, it's ready to use. Please use it. Please verify it. Give any criticism. And this is how we can kind of move forward with that kind of original dream I had, I guess, of just being able to accelerate this work. And I know that others have felt the same way. It's not about accelerationism or whatever, to just push things as far as and as fast as they can into destruction, so that hopefully mommy and daddy will come and hold your hand and fix things. That's obviously nihilistic and destructive, and we have an incredible opportunity right now, just that we still have the internet, that things are still well and good in place. The economy is still running. People have some amount of free time and ability to communicate, whatever that is. I think that I do have a feeling that we need to take this work as seriously as possible and complete it, and try to work on it with the utmost of diligence and haste. And yeah, so we have something here. We have something here. How can we just share it and get it out? Like it's free. Take it. And this kind of like gets back into the critical activism part. People are already freaking out and doing all kinds of rioting and whatever, protest marches and all this kind of stuff. Critical activism has to get in there and show that if you want to actually make any kind of real change, lasting change, we are talking about upgrading our civilization to a membership society. And anything short of that will always fail, will never have the life force in it. As I've described, the sort of state, centralized state, the participant society, cannot ever hope to manage the complexity of the problems that we face. The only hope for that is to each of us to come online, start paying attention, and start doing something with each other, start cooperating, collaborating, sensing and giving our input from our perspective on the network, and and again, this sort of the guild, so this global emergent global brain, whatever. There's so many terms that have been thrown around to reflect this, but indeed that kind of a thing only comes out with the membership society, where we each are like a perspective, like it's like we're each a neuron, or a hub of neurons, a node, if you will, to be able to sense data and sense inputs and give outputs, as opposed to just being the end of a stub, simply receiving only. Anyways, gotta go for now.